When you purchase your Tadelakt, you'll receive the pigment separately. You can either measure out your water, add the pigment, and then mix the Tadelakt into it with a drill and whisk, or, as I've done here, you can mix the pigment in with the Tadelakt. We're going to make a well in the bottom. And add the water. Just add the water slowly, because you don't want to add too much and make it rain. You need quite a dry consistency. Once the powder's mixed in, it's safe to remove your mask. And you can use a drill and whisk just to get the final lumps. Now the Tadelakt needs to be left to stand for half an hour, and then just before we use it, we'll re-whisk it. After the backing coat is dry, you're now ready to apply the first coat of Tadelakt. This is going to be a scrape coat, and you'll notice why in a minute. You need to go as thin as possible. It's going to dry quite quickly, and you want it just basically for a key for the second coat of Tadelakt to stick to. With most plastering, you work with wet tools. With this, it's important to keep them dry. You don't want to introduce too much water. So I'm going to start applying the scrape coat, and listen out. Again, as tight as possible. You should hear that scraping noise, which is the aggregate against the dry backing coat. Once you've finished applying, it's worth going over the whole surface again with an open trowel, so a steep angle, just to make sure the surface is open. You don't want a closed surface, because it will give the second coat a lot less to bond to. As you can see, our board first coat is touch dry now, so we're going to apply the second coat. We need to apply it slightly thicker, we want to cover the aggregate, so I'm going to use a slightly more flexible trowel, and we're going to start from the top again. We just want enough on there to bury the aggregate, still quite thin, so a total thickness of about 2 to 3 millimetres. Keep going until the board's completely covered. And at this stage, if there's any areas you notice that are a bit thin, it's a good time to fill in any hollows. And then we have the whole board covered. We've applied our second coat now. I've cleaned and dried my trowel, which is very important. We don't want to introduce any more water to the surface. And now I'm going to even the surface up, flatten it in, and take away some of the lines. Again, if you find any hollow areas, now's the time to add some more product. And now we're going to move on from the metal trowels onto plastic trowels. The aggregate in here, the surface is so thin, if you keep going over with metal trowels, it can cause friction and you can get some black streaks from the aggregate. So we're going to move to a plastic trowel which has less friction. As the surface is drying in with the Tadelakt, we need to keep taking the lines out to improve the surface. We're going to move now to a flexible plastic trowel, keeping it at a very closed angle, so very tight to the surface. You don't want to take off what you've already put on. Any material that does come off in your trowel should have no aggregate in it, so it's good for filling any small hollows. Now we're going to leave that to pull in a bit more, dry off a bit more before we move to a slightly thicker plastic trowel. Now, as the surface is drying in, we're going to move to a slightly thicker plastic trowel. This will help close in any still open pores, and it will start to burnish the surface. You can be quite rough with it because at this stage it is softened. And again, any fat you get on your trowel you can use to fill small hollows. I've got a very shallow angle on the trowel and I'm pushing very hard. Burnish the surface and close the hollows.